Should you get the brand new DJI Air 3S or the more compact Mini 4 Pro? Well, today we're going to take a look at the differences between DJI's most popular drones, testing everything from their camera performance, obstacle avoidance, tracking, and so much more. Now, this is not so much a question of which drone is better than the other, but more of which drone is the best option for you. Let's get into it. Before looking at all the technical capabilities of these drones, an important factor in choosing between them is the size and weight. The Mini 4 Pro only weighs 249 grams, and that means in most cases you will have much easier regulations when it comes to flying. Depending on the country you live in, you might not have to register your Mini 4 Pro because of its lower weight. The Air 3S weighs 723 grams, and because of that you will have to deal with more regulations to fly the Air 3S. You can also straight away tell that the Mini 4 Pro is a much smaller drone compared to the Air 3S, so it's going to be a lot more portable and easier to carry around. If you're traveling or doing a lot of hiking, the Mini 4 Pro is going to be way easier to take with you and pack away in a backpack. But also when flying in more public places where there's other people around, the Mini 4 Pro is much less intrusive or intimidating. When you're flying a smaller drone like this, most people don't really pay attention to them in comparison to when you're flying a much bigger drone like the Air 3S. And that's also considering the noise difference between these two. Just have a listen. There is also a slight price difference between these two drones. The Mini 4 Pro comes in at $759 and the Air 3S is $340 more expensive at $1,099 US. But that $340 does get you quite a few upgrades. The first one of which is the video and camera quality. Both drones shoot video in either normal, 10-bit HLG or D-Log-M. And to be honest, I kind of wish that DJI had put true D-Log on the Air 3S instead of D-Log-M, but we really can't complain because D-Log-M still gets you that little bit of more dynamic range, and the footage just looks amazing when properly graded. When looking at the cameras of these two drones, you'll immediately notice that they are very different. The main camera of the DJI Air 3S is a 24mm wide-angle camera with a 1-inch sensor. The Mini 4 Pro also has a 24mm wide-angle camera, but with only a 1/1.3-inch sensor. So there is an image quality difference between these two sensors, which will especially be noticeable when you're flying early in the morning or late in the evening, so in more low-light scenarios. But also, if you're going to be using your drone for more professional jobs or commercial work, you might want that extra step in quality to keep up with the competition. Or if you just want to get higher quality content from your drone, the Air 3S is going to be the better choice for you. When you put shots from these two drones side by side, you can definitely spot a difference in image quality, but to be honest, the image quality of the Mini 4 Pro is still super impressive. If you were just watching footage from the Mini 4 Pro by itself without comparing it to anything else, you probably wouldn't think twice about the quality and just think it looks fantastic. Now, aside from the different sensor sizes, there is a much more important difference between these two drones when it comes to their cameras. And that is the fact that the Air 3S has a secondary medium tele camera. This one is the equivalent of a 70mm lens and it has a 1/1.3-inch sensor. So at the bottom you'll see a 24mm wide angle and at the top a 70mm telephoto. And these two focal lengths just match together so beautifully. Having both of them really spices up your drone footage and makes your edits a lot more dynamic and unique. That second camera is very useful for getting a much wider variety of shots when you're up in the air. You can first shoot your wide shot of a scene or a subject to capture the whole thing and then switch the camera over to the 70mm and get a tighter, more cinematic telephoto shot. You're also able to get a lot closer to your subject without having to physically fly closer to it. But one of my favorite things about this 70mm lens is that it allows you to really isolate your subjects by compressing the scene. I personally really love the look of these telephoto shots, especially for video. It will create a very beautiful looking parallax effect. These types of shots just feel much less like your typical drone shots and can bring your drone footage to another level. So having that extra camera on the Air 3S is a huge step up from the Mini 4 Pro and makes a massive difference in the type of shots you're able to get. But the Mini 4 Pro's camera also has a trick up its sleeve that the Air 3S does not have, and that is true vertical shooting. What that means is that the camera itself can turn 90 degrees to switch between horizontal shooting and vertical shooting. And because the camera is actually turning, you can shoot 4K video vertically. On the Air 3S, the camera is not able to physically turn. So if you want vertical video, it will actually crop that out of your horizontal video. That means instead of a 4K video, you end up with a 2.7K vertical video. To put things into perspective though, as far as I'm aware, most social media platforms only support 1080p resolution for vertical video anyway. So yeah. Looking at the photo specs of both these drones, the Air 3S offers 50 megapixel photos from the wide-angle lens because of that larger 1-inch sensor, and 48 megapixels from the telephoto camera. The Mini 4 Pro offers 48 megapixel photos. This is not a huge difference, and let's be real, both of these just take amazing photos. 48 megapixels or 50 megapixels doesn't really matter all that much. Both of them will offer you plenty of room to crop in if you need to, or even print your photos super large. Now let's talk about some more interesting stuff, and that's obstacle avoidance and tracking. Starting off with a pretty scary real-life test. Let's see how both these drones compare when it comes down to obstacle avoidance. And the way we're gonna test this is by sending both these drones into the forest here behind me, pushing the joystick forward and letting the obstacle avoidance do the work. Let's just hope we don't crash any of these drones. The first one up is the Mini 4 Pro. Okay, so the Mini 4 Pro did a pretty good job. Let's see how the Air 3S does. The Mini 4 Pro has 360-degree obstacle avoidance with 4 wide-angle vision sensors and a pair of downward vision sensors. This was a huge improvement from the Mini 3 Pro and gives you a lot of peace of mind when flying. The Air 3S also has 360-degree obstacle avoidance, again with 4 wide-angle vision sensors and a pair of downward vision sensors. But in addition to this, it also has this brand new forward-facing LiDAR sensor. The way this LiDAR system works is that it sends out infrared pulses in front of the drone to detect any obstacles. So these infrared pulses bounce off the obstacles and back towards the sensor. Aside from the hardware upgrade with the new LiDAR system, the actual obstacle avoidance on the Air 3S has also gotten a serious boost compared to the Mini 4 Pro. With the Mini 4 Pro, there are occasions where if you would want to fly in low light or nighttime situations, the obstacle avoidance system will turn off due to the system not having enough light to function, that being a minimum of 15 lux of illuminance. The obstacle avoidance system on the Air 3S requires much less light to function, all the way down to 1 lux of illuminance, which is similar to 1 candle at 1 meter. So that is a very dark environment, and this allows you to safely fly the drone at night. That means if you're going to be flying a lot at night or in denser areas with a lot of buildings and trees, or basically anything that might obstruct the drone and be a possible crash danger, the Air 3S is going to be the safest choice. And this advanced obstacle avoidance is also something to keep in mind when doing tracking shots. All right, so after surviving that first test, let's see how the obstacle avoidance of these drones performs while tracking. Because then the drones are not just gonna fly forward, but basically in all kinds of directions. And I really hope that the obstacle avoidance works as well as they say that it does, because again, I really don't want to crash any of these drones. Anyway, first one up is the Mini 4 Pro.
Take off.
So far, so good. So now we're getting into a section with a little bit more trees, where the trees are a little bit closer together. We just take a turn here, go behind the tree. Wow. It's super crazy that this drone can do that. Let's go behind the trees here, see what it does. It's kind of lost me now. Okay, so the drone just lost me a little bit. Let's hit active track again on auto. Hit go. And we're gonna keep this going. Let's go back. Whoa. It's backing up now, but still not hitting any trees. Let's go here. Oh, Jesus, that was close. That was really close. But still not crashing into any trees. We're doing a good job. Oh, all right. That's enough for the Mini 4 Pro. I think it did a very good job there.
Home point updated.
Okay, so now let's see how the Air 3S does. Active track, set it to auto. And then let's go. Just casually going for a walk with my Air 3S through the forest and see how it does. I'm gonna try and walk the same trail as I did with the Mini, more or less. I have no idea where I walked, but more or less the same way. Oh, is it gonna fly through the trees? I think it will go around. Let's just keep walking and see what it does. Okay. It's smart enough to go around and not go between two very narrow trees. Let's go behind the trees here. See what it does. Yeah. Keeps tracking me. Okay. It's still doing a good job. I'm gonna go between these trees here. Whoa, whoa, that was close. Whoa, whoa. Okay, that was pretty darn good. Okay, good job, Air 3S. Both these drones have Active Track 360, which is DJI's latest tracking feature that they first introduced on the Mini 4 Pro. This basically allows you to use Active Track and then select on this 360-degree wheel where you want the drone to track you from. Left, right, front, behind, far away or close by, it's all possible. What's cool is when you change the drone's position on this wheel, it actually performs a nice movement while going to that next position. Both of them also have auto active track. In this tracking mode, the drone will automatically perform different maneuvers and switch between multiple perspectives as it's tracking you. The Air 3S, however, has a slightly more advanced version of this, where the drone will analyze the environment and intelligently adjust the framing. This will ensure you get cleaner compositions and more appealing shots when using this auto tracking mode. If you're going to be using your drone to track fast-moving subjects like cars, the more powerful Air 3S will be able to follow these subjects at higher speeds in comparison to the Mini 4 Pro. Also, the overall tracking capabilities have been improved on the Air 3S. The drone is able to maintain stable tracking even when the subject that it's tracking is briefly or partly covered. Alright, next let's compare the return to home system on both of these drones. The Mini 4 Pro has an advanced return to home system where the drone can automatically plan a safe flight back to the home point and bypass any obstacles. And this is a very reliable system in most scenarios. The Air 3S, however, does one better here and uses real-time vision positioning and mapping to basically memorize its flight path. This allows the drone to return back to the home point even without any satellite signals. Also, the LiDAR and the improved obstacle avoidance make sure that the Air 3S is able to automatically and safely return to home in low light or nighttime conditions. Now, even though there are a lot of benefits to the small size of the Mini 4 Pro, this also has its downsides. The Air 3S is a much more powerful drone than the Mini 4 Pro, and that is going to be useful when you're flying at higher altitudes or dealing with higher winds. But also, let's say you're tracking a car and you're dealing with some headwind, the Air 3S will do a much better job at keeping up with that car compared to the Mini 4 Pro. Plus, that extra bit of weight on the Air 3S makes it a lot more stable than the Mini 4 Pro. So when the wind does pick up, you will definitely see the Mini 4 Pro wobble a bit more in compared to the Air 3S. Part of that extra weight on the Air 3S is of course due to its larger battery. This also means more flight time. 45 minutes compared to the 35 minutes on the Mini 4 Pro. Now, just to put this into perspective, 35 minutes is still really good, because if you think back to some of the first Mavics, for example, which were rated at like 20 or 25 minutes, that was already pretty amazing at the time. So 35 minutes is really good, 45 minutes is just a little bit more. And another thing to keep in mind though with these flight times, these are in the absolute most ideal conditions, which to be fair is basically never. And they are calculated from when the drone is completely full to completely empty. And you never fly until your battery is completely empty. You always come back when it's like 20 or 15%. So keep in mind that you'll always get a little bit less than these numbers. Obviously, if you get the Fly More kit, you get 2 extra batteries, which gets you even more flight time. And I strongly suggest that you do that because one battery is just never enough. Alright, now there are a few extra features on the Air 3S which you won't find on the Mini 4 Pro that I found worth mentioning. One is called subject focusing. If you appear in front of the camera, you'll see a yellow box over yourself. If you then press the function button on the controller that you have assigned to lock the exposure or focus, you'll see a padlock icon appear in this yellow box. This is now tracked to you, so when you move around in the frame, it will always stay on you. And what it's doing here is using its intelligent tracking features to make sure the drone always has you in focus. Another new feature that's been added on the Air 3S, which I found really exciting, is the free panorama mode. This new mode lets you create custom panoramas directly on the drone, and it's super straightforward. Once you select the free panorama mode, you start by moving the drone to frame the top left corner of your image. After setting that, you move the drone again to pick where the bottom right corner of your final image will be. Once both of these points are set, an augmented reality overlay appears on the screen, showing you the edges of the panorama you just selected. Then you simply hit go and the drone will automatically take all the shots needed to create your custom panorama. What's great is that this feature works with both the wide-angle camera and the 3x telephoto lens, so you've got plenty of flexibility. So in conclusion, which of these 2 drones is going to be the best choice for you? The Air 3S or the Mini 4 Pro? I think it mainly depends on what you're going to be using your drone for. If you're somebody looking to get their first drone, you're going traveling or something like that, and you just want to get some cool photos and videos, then I think the Mini 4 Pro is a fantastic option for you. And I don't want to undervalue it by saying that, because this thing delivers amazing quality for how tiny and affordable it is. And if I'm going on a hike where I have to carry my drone, you can be sure that I'm taking this one, which weighs 3 times less than the Air 3S. But if you do want to take that extra step up and have all these additional features, and you want the dual camera system and the ability to fly at night and all these extra things that just make the Air 3S a more professional drone, then the $340 you're paying extra is 100% worth it. The footage coming out of this drone is insane, and everything it can do is just incredible. So really, there is no wrong choice here. Now, I at least hope that this video was able to help you in figuring out which one is the right one for you. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!